You've allowed them to find out what they're good at. Perhaps this age is where they find their own identities.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Beyond Eight's Out of the Box season on this lovely Saturday morning. And this is a very, very special day for us because we're starting out our second season of Out of the Box. If you're watching an Out of the Box session for the first time, it's a special welcome to you. And this is a series of conversations that we've been having with people from different walks of life. How can you really plan your teenager's future? Right? What's their personal future planning exercise like? And in the first season, we spoke about how do we navigate through the pandemic. We had a series of conversations with entrepreneurs, with people who plan cities, sportsmen, people who train people for competitive examinations as well as competitive sports. The questions were about how do you really thrive and not just survive in a period of pandemic like what we saw or what's happening around us. If you haven't seen our first season yet, please do visit YouTube and look for Beyond 8 and look out for our playlist in our channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And for those who are returning, it's wonderful to have you with us again. And before we get started, let me just say it's a special day again, right? It's Teachers' Day. So here's wishing all you teachers who've tuned in today a wonderful Teachers' Day. And thank you for tuning in today. And to all you parents, a happy Teachers' Day to you as well, because a child's first teacher is often his parents. So a happy Teachers' Day to you as well. All right, now let's get started with our season 2. As parents, we always want to give our children the best, nothing but the best, right? Be it the clothing they wear, or the food they eat, or homes we live, or having the right balance in your financial investment so that your child's future is secure. And that is absolutely relevant or contextual when it comes to learning and education, right? When it comes to schooling or finding the right schools for them, it's probably the most critical decision that we take as parents. And just as we invest in our wealth and secure our futures, we also try to invest our knowledge and guide them to find the best schools. And like I said, I'm repeating the line, it's probably the most critical decision that we take as parents of teenagers. Now that question becomes a daunting one. What is a perfect fit for my child? What's a perfect school for my child? Especially in a post-COVID scenario where things have completely changed from what it was earlier. So if that question has been bothering you, if you've been wondering if my school is the right fit for my child, or where do I find the right school for my child, here's some good news. In this groundbreaking series of 5 episodes, we're going to be truly uncovering insights from top educators, mental health professionals, industry mavens, and learners themselves on finding that perfect fit. And these episodes will air on every Saturday at 11 a.m. the whole of September. And you can catch it live here on our Facebook page. And if you missed one of them, you can also see it on our YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel or follow our page so that you are aware of this. And be assured, this season, whatever we say are going to really help you find the answers that you have in your mind. All right. So the way this model works, we have a host and we have a special speaker today. You can interact with them live. You can ask questions on our Facebook channel. If you're watching this on our Facebook page, go ahead, put a comment there, so that we know that you're listening to us, and say a hello there or something like that, so that we know you can hear us directly. And you can post your questions there, and we will ask the questions to the speakers and get you the answers. All right. So the first lesson starts now. In today's session, what are we talking about? We're talking about how well do we know our children? What are the unique learning styles? What makes them different? What activities lighten their eyes? Are they a mini you? Are they a carbon copy of you? Probably yes. So to speak about this topic today and host and moderate this conversation, we have with us Rama Lakshmi. Rama Lakshmi, a dear friend, and she is also the head of inclusion for us at Beyond 8, and she is also the chief convener of Elena. Rama, happy Teachers' Day to you.
Thank you, Nav. Thank you very much, Vimal. Thank you for introducing me and for those words. Very good morning to all, and thank you, viewers and parents, for stepping out of the box today. Our guest speaker for today is Ms. Usha Ramakrishnan. Ushaka, as we fondly call her, is a consultant for emotional intelligences and emotional wellness for parenting, teaching, management, leadership, and so on. She is an international trainer for parenting and has conducted trainings all around the world. She has 3 decades of experience working with families and learning from children and young adults with and without special needs. This rich and diverse experience has enabled her to understand variations in development, potential, parenting styles, and concerns hands on. She's been awarded with many accolades, including the Radhakrishnan Award and the Scope Women Exemplar Award. But the most important accolade that she often mentions is that she's the mother of triplets who are now adults and have children. So Ushaka is technically Usha Pati, who continues to learn with her grandchildren. Ushaka was my teacher in college, and every moment in her class inspired me to be more passionate about what I like. I'm extremely honored to be in conversation with my favorite teacher on this very special day, Teachers' Day. What more can I ask for? She continues to be my inspiration and my true role model. Now, the common aspect that I share with most of our viewers today is that I am a mother of 2 teenagers, and I can completely relate to how you're all waiting to hear from our expert on this topic today. So, without further delay, I welcome Ushaka. Dear Akka, here is wishing you a very, very happy Teachers' Day.
Thank you so much, Rama Lakshmi. Thank you, Team Beyond 8. This is truly a privilege, and I hope together we will share some fun things and learn a little bit. Like Bimal said at the beginning, the first teacher is the parent. So I look forward to answering your questions, Rama Lakshmi, and together learning more about our children.
Thank you, Akka. Yes, my very first question for the day, a recurring question that comes out of my mind as a parent, and I'm sure it's a question in all the parents' mind who are here. What is parenting? What will be your approach to this question, Akka?
What a lovely question. Indeed, we need to keep asking ourselves that. What is parenting? It's not knowledge. It's not about knowing more. It's not about being more. At that critical point, when you need to give an action, you should be able to be there altogether. So, in order to do that, we need to know our child best. At every age, what does he need? And therefore, what should we as parents be providing him? Now, this keeps changing through the ages. So, it's just like if you're walking down the road and you're going somewhere, you're always looking out for what is in front of me, what is behind, what is there. It's just like that. At each stage, there are new challenges coming. Each age brings its own needs. Parenting is understanding those needs and responding correctly. Now, this is
Very
not
beautiful.
a to-do list. It's there. So underlying this whole thing, if you ask me what is common to all ages, is unconditional love. It's not I like you because, it's not I like you when, it is I love you, period. And that must permeate into the child, into whatever you do, till it becomes a part of him. I'd start with that, and that is common through the ages. So we go on to the next question, Rama Lakshmi. Or do you want me to say something more about parenting?
Yes, Akka, please go on.
Okay, so that is the first one. Okay, what's the second point? Understanding that when the child develops, there are all areas that we are looking at. So what are these areas? There is a physical dimension, the child is growing, so we are aware of food, shelter, clothing. That's one aspect. There is also his communication, his social, emotional areas. There is also the play that he does. There is also cognition and understanding. All these areas, much like a flower, what is parenting? Understanding a child's development, which is like a flower gently opening up. You watch a flower, you can't see when it's opening up. And at every time, at every moment, giving the right support. This happens very naturally when you love the child truly. You are naturally attentive. You naturally do many of the things that need to be done. And when you don't know the answers, you go around and find out. Hopefully, we'll find out some answers today.
Yes, Akka.
Magic
Yep.
words: wait, watch, wonder. Wait and look at what your child is doing. Watch carefully and wonder at it, because truly it's a wondrous experience. Ramalakshmi.
Very beautifully put, Akka. Unconditional love, it is. Uh, but teenage is often seen as a tricky period for any individual. It is trickier for parents, and I can totally relate to that. From our experience, from your experience, how will you explain this stage? What actually happens during this time?
You're talking about the teenage, Ramalakshmi.
Yes, Akka, teenage, adolescence.
Right, it's a beautiful question. Well, here is it. You've given them roots to grow from birth to 10, 12 years. You've given them trust. You've allowed them to become independent. You've allowed them to take initiative. You've allowed them to find out what they're good at. Perhaps this age is where they find their own identities. So, what's happening in this age? You might be saying he's not listening to me. You are right. You might be saying he doesn't respond to me the way he used to earlier. You are correct. He doesn't communicate like before. You are correct. He wants too much privacy. You are correct. It's all a part of this beautiful development, much like a chrysalis. Have you seen the butterfly emerge from the chrysalis stage? Your child is going through that chrysalis stage now. This teenage is wrought with all that. And your parenting will make a beautiful difference. Like all ages, what do children need from their parents? Guidance, appreciation, and being there for them. That doesn't change. So let's start from the beginning. You might say he's not listening. These are all little things. You don't need answers. Today's parents are so knowing, so wise, so good. You just need to think back a little. And parenting also involves one more thing: getting ourselves ready. You see, if I might have the best car to run, but if I don't know driving, I'm probably going to crash it somewhere. So it is with children. Sadly, they don't come with manuals. Manuals are all locked up in psychology books. They should be there with every parent, because every parent is a living thing for psychology. So let me start with the main point. First is what's happening in the brain. Why is it the chrysalis stage? Between 12 and 18, new research is showing us that there is a second huge growth and newer connections being made in the brain. You'll find your child doing so many things he didn't do before. That apart, two very important areas. What is happening in the brain? The emotional areas are just getting settled. So they are highly emotional. Emotional regulation hasn't come in. So if you're seeing them impulsive, that's a part of this age. If they're not able to see consequences of their behaviors, that's a part of this age. So emotionally, it's all getting better and better as they're learning to handle themselves. They're really finding their own identities. The second area is cognition, the understanding. You'll find that they're learning, they're creating so much more, they're thinking so much more out of the box. Beautiful name. Correct. Because you go to psychology, this is called the fourth stage of development. They will be able to do abstractions, they'll be able to philosophize, and they'll find out many things in a new way. At every stage, what does it mean? I need to be receptive, wait, watch, and take my child along. We know that he's growing. Yeah, he's suddenly going to be lanky, you're going to see legs, arms, pimples, all that. And with the wisdom of a parent, you can say, that doesn't matter. Believe me, to a teen, it's the end of the world. My hair is not sitting properly, end of the world. That is emotion. It's raging within the child. So what does it need? It needs a parent who is self-regulated. Now here is where parenting comes in. Responding correctly. You say, it doesn't matter. You haven't listened. Next time he's not going to come back with you with anything. But if your response is, I'll give you the tips. Identify his emotion. Half the tantrums, half the problems are all because our children can't identify their own emotions. They slam doors. They might be screaming. It's all because they don't know how to say, hey, you know what? I don't know what's happening inside me. But if you can say it for them, I know you're feeling a little lost. I know you're feeling this. Well, you help them. They'll sulk a bit, but they'll come out of it. Don't try to fix them. In this stage, when they're younger, the parent takes charge and guides their development. In this stage, the parent allows them to find their own identities. You've got to be around. They need you. They need your appreciation. They need your guidance. But don't micromanage. Don't tell them what they need to know. Their worlds are different. The way they're doing things are different. And if you're a good listener, they will communicate with you. If you're a good listener. It's not enough if we say, I am a listener. We need to have the courage to go back and ask them. I did that with my son. And once he said, I thought I was spouting wisdom. And then I asked him. And he said, Amma, you're going on and on the same groove like a broken record. And he said it with a lot of love. But point one, keep communication open. Let them laugh at you. I'm sure all of you have heard the story of this boy who came and gave his father a report. And the father said, what is this? Terrible marks. Impossible. Do you know how badly you've done? And the words. When I was in school, you should have seen what I did. And then the boy says, Appa, actually I made a mistake. That is your report. Here's mine. So don't ever try to be hero or heroine to your child. It's better that you're in the Mother's Hall of Fame and they can laugh with you. So let me come back to one more trait in these childs. I've told you about the emotional areas where they're learning to handle themselves. I've told you about physical growth. I've told you about cognition. Now that are very important is their social. They're all the time on the phone. Yes. They never sit down to chat with me like before. Yes. That's because there's development. Tears makes more. Doesn't mean they love you any less. Don't worry, you are the center of their world. Don't even worry about it. They'll come right back. But at this time, don't try to baby them the way they were earlier. And don't try to micromanage. Rama Lakshmi, should I continue or do you have the next question?
Yes, Akka, it's really beautiful. It's a lot of reassurance when you said, "Don't worry, they'll be right back." So that's really a lot of reassurance. There's a lot of happenings developmentally, lot of changes. We really wish we can relate to that at every moment, which is really difficult, right? Any parent would want to do the best by their child and have the right intentions too. The very reason for them to be viewing this session is a proof of that, actually. However, when right intentions are combined with right guidance, it is much more impactful. So you did mention about micromanaging, not micromanaging, and listening to them more and keeping the communication channel open. If you can, go a little bit deep into it and give us some handy tips on, points to remember, kind of a thing. I think it will be very useful as parents.
Right. So when the child is coming home from school, let me give you a small example. When he comes home from school or college or whatever, and you say, how was your day? You say, Now don't try and prod and say, but you don't tell me. Don't start the guilt machine. Don't start it. You used to talk before, and you can drop all that. He will come to you when he is ready. In Tamil, we have this beautiful thing which says, Tolukku mele thodan. He's become your friend. He'll come to you when you are ready. So this is a very important point of parenting. For us, just like breath, for us to be self-regulated is the most difficult. The child says something which you agree with. Oh, wonderful. How nice. He is my son after all. or my daughter. And then he says something very different, and your own emotions have no regulation. So, parenting emotionally intelligently is 5 points. This is for all ages. One, self awareness. Be constantly aware. It should be like breath, not like you're putting it on. You're aware of yourself. As a child is talking to you, to be aware, oh, he's irritating me, is good, because otherwise you'll have blasted out. If you're aware, oh, he's saying this, he's saying these are the kind of clothes to wear, or these are the kind of things to do. I don't agree with you, I am getting irritated. Give yourself a thing and then do it. That's called self-regulation. After self-regulation, you go to motivation. Say it's okay. Take it to the next step and motivate yourself to give the right answer. These three are very important. All the problems we talk, generation gap, we talk this and that, it's only because we're only reacting to the child or reacting to the teen. If you understand, oh, this is teenage. Oh, he's learning to make connections. Oh, this is a path of development. He is giving his best shot. He's not aware of consequences. You tell him, study for the exam. If you study well, you will do very well. You will go to this college. You go on and on and on. But if those connections are not made in the brain, the emotional areas remain emotional areas. I want to have fun. I want to play on the gadget. It's not connected to the wisdom of, if I do this, this will happen. And that's what we have to help them guide. So do we sit quietly? No. Much like we tell ourselves, we need to tell our children. And what's the best way? Be an example. What is he watching at when he looks at you? If you are punctual, you are doing your work well, everything is happening well, that's what he's going to get. If he's creative, why not? He will try and make a couple of difficulties, have a couple of difficulties, but that's what a parent is for. To be there, to stand by him when things go wrong. Be very aware. And when things go right, let him get the credit. So this guiding through, one, name his emotion when he's very upset. You want tips? Name his emotion. Oh, you must be very upset. You've had a bad day. Are you angry? Probably look at you and say, but the anger would have come down because you've identified the emotion. Then you can make a joke of yourself and say, yes, I used to also blow my top. Please don't try to be this thing. And you have. Because we have done it. It's okay. My children tease me. They all said, Amma, you better get on to a fitness exercise. So I was very impressed. My husband got me a bike and I started biking on that stationary bike. And I said, I've done so much exercise. What will a couple of pedas do? So I had one peda in this hand and another in this hand. And my kids walked in. And that is my mother's hall of fame. This is Amma's exercise thing. So sometimes they love to joke with you, be with you, but they are watching you at every point. By the way, what is going to help them most now? Their values, which you have given from when they are very young. What will help them through all the crises? Why is India called a Punya Bhumi? Because it is woven into our culture. It is just woven in, being caring of others, understanding, sharing is all part of our culture. So those values you must emulate. This is a beautiful time to emulate it, not by telling them, no, you know what, you must be good, you must be honest, the whole world is bad, but be good. And the next sentence is, if that chap calls, tell him I'm not at home. This kind of thing, if we are doing all the time, you need to look for yourself. So I'm telling you two things. There are changes in the child, beautiful changes. You watch him after he starts to fly. But these are the growing years. You've got to hold his hand, just like you do with the child. It's getting on to walk, you're very careful. You're holding his hand and taking him. You don't let him fall. And he's doing that in the emotional cognitional area. Can I let him loose and say, do whatever you want, you're finding yourself? Then he'll be lost. It's called permissive parenting. It's like being left lost in the huge desert. You need to have borders, but those borders must be in his interest, not in yours. That is the key to parenting. Am I looking at the child or am I looking at myself? So those I can at best give you this every moment, let me tell you. If you can just be aware, regulate, So when you name your own emotion, oh, I'm feeling so proud of my child at a teenage, don't ever go and say, oh, kuchi kuchi, how sweet. Don't ever do it. Because then you've lost it. You've got to understand, say, hey, not bad. You've done a pretty good job. And to that point, I want to add, fathers are indispensable. Fathers, any man caregiver, because they have a beautiful way. While mothers are this, give the nurture, give everything, and let the child come to this age. Mothers continue, of course. Fathers play a terrific role. So the more actively involved the father is, or the male caregiver is, the more the child is going to learn many other things. Resilience, self-efficacy. Things can go bad, but I can pull myself up. Is a value we give our child, and he'll learn it at the same. Self-efficacy. I do something, I feel proud of myself. It is not someone telling me, oh, very good, very good, very good. Within, I feel that glow. And that you as a parent have a huge role to play. And to be able to point out to him what he's good at, if you're listening and watching him, if you can every day tell him something that he's good at, hey, you did that well. It doesn't have to be only studies, because we'll be talking about that soon, or if a question comes up. But to be able to identify, remember, whatever, these are called scripts and strokes. How are we scripting our child? You haven't done your work, you're now going to get into a college, forget it. I don't know where you're going to land up. You do this every day and give a personal remark, which I'm sure none of you do, but you're stamping him. Don't ever break the spirit. Your role as a parent is to be the varikati. Let him form his own script. These are all times of reflection. Think for yourself. We all carry scripts. Every one of us, from what we've been told. If people say you're very good, we think we're very good. Constantly we've been saying no use, not good, not good, not good. Somewhere at the back of our mind, we're carrying the scripts. Don't give your children scripts. Don't give them baggage. Another no is, see how much I'm doing for you. No need. If we were really all that good, we'd be doing it for the whole world. We're doing it for our children. This is a labor of love. Sometimes when you don't say it, they come back to you and say, you know what my mother did? You know what my dad did? It all comes back. And it's a beautiful journey. Yeah. Ramalash.
Thank you so much, Akka. Those were really words of wisdom, and we really wish we could take it on and do it every moment. But when children themselves go through so many changes developmentally, as parents, I think we often get anxious too. We got caught in this web of comparison. I know that my child is so expressive while he or she is drawing, but why is he not so good at writing? Am I doing enough for my child to realize his potential? What exactly is our potential? So these are all those questions that come up in mind when we get anxious. So how do we deal with that?
That's a very good question, Ramalakshmi. I'm going to the next very important phase. But before that, I see a question. Should I be answering that from Vimal? How do we help our children understand the consequences of their actions? How do we do this as parents? 11 to 24. Beautiful question. Beautiful. Like I said, emotions are processed in the emotional areas here, temporal lobe. Decisions are processed in the frontal area, the wisdom areas. Now they're forming these two connections. So you have to explain it to them briefly, kindly, matter of fact. That's your skill. If you do this, these are the consequences. You have to tell them. Also, wind it up with saying, I know you will do what is right. Think about it. Allow them the wisdom of that. If you force something, they will rebel. It's called critical parent, rebellious child. You're critical, they will rebel. So you have to show them. You have to literally guide them. You have to join the dots. You're going now, you're going out, you're saying you want a holiday, but you have the exam in so many days. You have so much to do. Have you thought about this? That is our thing. Not, I will draw out a schedule and you will do what I say. That is micromanaging. But allow them to do it. That's just a start. So I'll come back to Ram and Lakshmi's question. This is wonderful. Remember, I had said that when our children are developing, there's so much happening. So what is it? And there's this whole new theory of intelligence. Many of you might know about it, but it's still a time to reflect on it. This was done in the 1980s by Howard Gardner after 10 years of research. The main points being, it's not how smart you are, it's how you are smart. He did this research understanding it, watching the brain, how it develops, how it breaks down, looking at different cultures where different people did enormously well in life, calling them end-state performers. Fascinating theory. Why is it important? Teenage, very, very important. It helps list your child's you are critical. Sorry, I got carried away. This is very, very important at this stage. He's watched how the brain develops, how it breaks down, how there are people very good in some areas and not in the others. He combined what's happening in the brain with what's happening outside. And he developed this theory. Now, what does this theory say? There are different kinds of intelligences. It's all solidly backed, so I have only time to talk about this. There is a linguistic intelligence. Vimal, can we have the slide, please? We have the linguistic intelligence, which is the intelligence of the writers and people who speak. We have the musical intelligence. This is the intelligence of the composers, people who sing, compose music. He gave Mozart as the end-state performer. We have the logical, mathematical intelligence. This is the intelligence of the inventors, the Alva Edisons. And today, all of you working on the computers and creating so many apps all fall into this. Also, people who are very logical, the judges, the statisticians, people who can think logically without any emotions coming in. Then you have the spatial intelligence. This is the intelligence of the artists, of the architects, who can visualize form in 3 dimensions. Lutyens, who created the Delhi when he was just given space. M.F. Hussein's drawings. I repeat this joke often, but it tells you a point. I saw M.F. Hussein's Mother Teresa. He takes a canvas, draws a blue line, and he moves out, and you have Mother Teresa there. So I said, what's so great? Let me also try. So I took a canvas and drew a blue line. Sadly, I only got a blue line. Now, this is the intelligence. This is the ability of the brain to perceive, connect in visual forms. This is spatial intelligence. Each intelligence, this is important for parents and teachers, each intelligence has its own way of processing information, of understanding, of doing things, and of creating. That's why for all of us, we find it very easy to do some things, learn some things effortlessly. For some it can be music, for some it can be language, for some it can be dance movements, and very difficult to do something else. So let me complete this and come back. We've done 4. The next one is the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. This is the intelligence of the sportsmen, the dancers, the gymnasts, the surgeons, who are very good with their hands and their bodies. Very graceful, very agile. That's the body intelligence. The one at 1 o'clock is the naturalist intelligence. This is the intelligence I think all schools are focusing today. The intelligence of the environmentalists, the oceanographers. We gave Darwin as an end performer here.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
Yes, can hear.
Yeah. The naturalist. And then the 2 personal intelligences, which are the people intelligences of getting along, interpersonal and intrapersonal. And that's the intelligence we need for parents, the ability to get along with others and to be good with ourselves. Now, every child is a combination of all these. So when we say I understand my child, it's about understanding what is this combination? How does my child? So how do you find it out? It's not a test. You observe him on the job. You'll see that he's remarkably good at something. So often children who have disability are good in the other intelligences, but it's their marks and their reading, writing, spelling that pulls them down. So this is a point we're thinking about. So to answer your question, so the child will do what he's good at, Ramalakshmi. The very child who says no to something will be doing something he's very good at. So our role is to encourage that, but also give him a time frame. And these work in a triad. How do they work in everyday life? You have an intelligence, the parent gives an opportunities, teachers give opportunities, it grows. Like many good schools are doing now. You give opportunities, it grows. And that's happening in the teenage. They're getting chances to explore all of these. And that's exactly what Beyond 8 is doing. And that, whatever they're good at, will take them to the next. So in essence, we are a combination of intelligences. Marks only measure one part of it. Are they important? Yes, but they're not the total sum of one's potential. So you might want to look at that. Yes, Ramalakshmi.
That's a very, very interesting perspective, Akka. Multiple intelligences. Every time I hear about it, it feels so new and energizing. More energizing now as a parent, I feel. Since I'm also a teacher who's a parent, I'm getting to know more of concepts like MBTI to understand child's personality. Recently, a team of us in middle school were working on Kolb's theory, which gives an interesting perspective on how learning happens per se. But while these are all things that are happening as research, and a lot of people are talking about it in developmental areas. Now, how as a parent, often it is very difficult to map such concepts, to be very objective and look at it, So is there an easy way to connect with my child and know more about my child without doing so much of research and knowing so much of theories? How do I connect with my child? Is there a way?
What a sweet question, Ramalakshmi. You've done a lot of thinking. Well,
thank you.
I think my work with parents and with children, I've had the opportunity to often present to parents, for them to understand their child. And I've developed a very simple quad. If you're interested, I can show it right now. It really looks at different perspectives to understand and enable your child. And it's really about, what do I want from my child? What am I giving my child? What am I getting from my child? And what does my child want from me? Can we have that visual, please? Yeah, we can just have the visual. Yeah, so this is very simple for anyone interested. It's a reflective exercise for everybody. When you want another perspective, right on the top is, what do I want from my teen? So think about it. Don't think of the small things like today or tomorrow. In long term, what is it you really want? And just write a line. Fold it over and keep it away. And then in turn, answer these four take a A4 size paper and just draw 4 quads and do it. What do you really want from your teen? What is it you're expecting from your teen? On the other side, this is self-reflection. What do I give my teen? And it's not only material stuff. Now, because you're growing, you're also talking emotional stuff and cognitive stuff. What do I give my teen? Angry voices, bored, or always enthusiastic, understanding? That'll be up to you. At the bottom, you get, what do I get from the teen? Think back. There'll be small acts of kindnesses that he's doing. Or what is it that you're getting from your teen? Put down those points. And then we come to the critical one. Now, this you have to be, there is no wrong answer in this, by the way. There are no wrong answers. The last one says, what does my teen want from me? Now, this is the parenting question. Do we really know what our teen wants from us? We know what we want for them and from them, It might be good to go and ask them, what do you want from me? They might randomly say, oh, it's enough, or it's nothing. What is all this? But if you really think and get to know them, you'll get to see what they really want from you. And it'll fall into one of these three brackets. The way you're handling them, or for them to feel you're really listening to them. Most importantly, that they can trust you. That you're there to appreciate them, and you're letting them find their identities. So try this out and see what you discover. The last line at the bottom says, so what are your discoveries? So you're getting 4 perspectives. What I want, what I give, what I get, and what the other one wants, my child, teen wants from me. Then open up your flap and see whether your dreams and these are in sync. If they are, great for you, good for you. And I'm sure they will be most of the time. If not, well, self-regulation is a little bit of self-correction. And this is a labor of love. So the minute you do it, you feel better about yourself. The child will start performing, reacting better with you. And it's the most joyous journey as you watch, wait, and wonder as your child grows up. Thank you. Yes, Ramalakshmi. Ramalakshmi?
Thank you so much, Akka. This is truly a, yeah. Thank you, Akka. There was a little bit of lag, I guess. So this is truly a gift to me as well as the parents who are watching us today. I'm so excited to try this for myself as a parent. I'm sure the viewers will do that too. There's a lot of information and tips and wisdom that you're giving us today, and I think I will go on and on with my questions if left alone. But it's time that we look at the questions from the audience.
Yes.
So I'll just go on to the question from the audience now.
Yes.
So there is a question from Naveen. Ushaka, many parents are struggling to deal with their children being online all the time, either in their classes or on Netflix or on Prime. What are your thoughts on how to help teenagers develop their interest and also understand their need to connect with others while they're online, I guess?
Well, like I said, the first thing is have open communication. Sit the children down and ask them what they really want. They will often tell you, I don't want to spend so much time, but I can't help myself. They would probably tell you that. First, find out. And what they're doing on that. If they're creating something new, you might want to do it. Then together, you need to draw out a strategy and draw out a time. And you'll have to do this samadhana dandabedam. Give them a time, say you have this much time. Then you have a transition break. Then, again, allow them. This will have to be from parent to parent. Remember, if you have given your child the ability to self-regulate, this will come naturally. I don't have to give you examples. Yes, it's difficult. The child needs to know, yes, it's difficult to come out. You can give him the consequences of it. Like someone asked. It's very easy to sink into it, and this is what happens. Let us together work it out. Some children, if it becomes very extreme, you might need a little extra help. But typically, if you really watch them, it would be within control, and together you can draw out the schedules of where you want transition and be reasonable. If you're very strict, they will want to do something else. Also check, have they got other interests? If it is either the iPad or nothing else, then they'll choose iPad over nothing else. What is the something else? If you say, come and help me in the kitchen, are you making the kitchen a happy place? The home must be like an ashrama, that they feel like coming out and doing something, taking a break and going back. Telling them don't do it, they know they don't need to do it. And sometimes for all of us, you're very keenly involved in a project or something. You've got to allow that time. So, if you have decide together, have a strategy, and they have other things to do, then it's okay. But you have to explain to them that this is the age when it will be difficult. The children appreciate that. Also trust them. Don't keep going back to check. You've got to trust. And that trust comes only when there's an inner fiber. That is important. Children are like putty. I can tell you they're the sweetest, having raised triplets. Of course, that is a long time ago. My children say, Amma, times are different now. But they are the same kind of fathers. I see them doing the same things with their kids. And then I say, okay, so some things are all right. There will be that addiction to that because it's so exciting. Why is it exciting? This is a call for all of us because it's so fast. Children are so fast now. They respond so quickly. They can simultaneously look at 5 screens, do other things. So it's up to us to find an alternate that will provide them. You tell them sit with a book and read for an hour. They will do it when they want to. Yeah. So
Thank
check
you so
yourself and
much,
see how you're doing it. If you're coming on, oh my God, are you on that again? Well, you're not helping your child. All parenting is nonverbal communication. What are you showing? Are you saying, I know you're going to do it again? You're already telling him, you scripted him, he's not going to be again getting back. Watch. You say, all right, it's going to be difficult, but today this is the deal. And gently, bit by bit. And if there are lapses, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. As long as he's got a higher goal, like I said, they craft their own identity. If you can tell them, what are your dreams? What do you want to be? They will talk to you about heroes far beyond what you can think. Then ask them to analyze. Why do you think that fellow is good? Whether it's a sportsman or a musician, they'll go back to talking about self-discipline. They'll go back to talking about good habits. And then the discovery is theirs. So have you generated conversations like that? It is up to us to lift them up to that level. And it's actually a very joyous journey. Yeah.
Beautiful, Akka. It's indeed a joyous journey. So there are 2 questions, Akka, from Shefali and from Lakshmi, which are quite similar in the sense that Shefali asks, how does a parent not pass on our anxiety to the kids? And Lakshmi asks, how do we as parents deal with anxiety? I see my weakness in my child as well. How do I handle? So both talks about, anxiety as parents. So would like you to address that, please.
I think that's a beautiful question. First thing which I should have done right at the beginning is to say, each one of you is special. I want you to appreciate yourself for all the good things that you're doing. Because the answer starts with that. Anxiety comes when we worry about things we don't know, the consequences. We don't know what's going to happen the next minute. Honestly, it's a bit of a spiritual thing. What is it? What is anxiety coming from? What if this happens? That is your brain, and the brain is a whole lot of electrochemical waves making their own connections. If you can gear and bring yourself down, so back to the first point, self-awareness, self-talk, the strategies we give our children. You say, okay, I'm getting out of hand. Cross it. And tell your child, I would tell my child, when I'm getting a little edgy, please tell me. They'll say, Amma, you're getting edgy. Get a feedback. Often we don't have feedbacks and our brain is rambling onto unnecessary areas. Mindfulness is very important for parenting, being conscious. So who will do that? We have to do it ourselves. How do we do it? First, believe that you're able to do it. Just as your brain can ramble to another distance, if you believe I can and I want to, you'll be surprised it will come and you will be able to do it step by step. When you have that, well, that's the energy you're giving out to your child. Believe me, when you walk into a room, if you're wearing a perfume, well, that fragrance comes in. You also give out your energies. So it's a very good question. So if you're feeling sad or you're feeling anxious, you are willingly giving it out. So first thing is be kind to yourself. Sit down, use MI for yourself. What are you good at? Spend some time doing it. Take a break. And then logically think, another thing that I found helped me a lot. Try it. Imagine it's the same problem happening to your very good friend or neighbor. You'll have all the suggestions. It's not rocket science. You know it.
Yeah.
You just use it differently. So check back on that. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Rest. Eat well. You're well in the body. You automatically are better generated to be there. If you made a mistake, go back and say sorry. Ask your teen is a very good person to give you feedback. Don't think you have to tell your teen. He will tell you a few home truths if you are willing to tell you. And you will actually get closer. Say, my mother's got a great sense of humor. She listens when I talk. I hope that answered the question, Ramalakshmi.
Yes, Akka, beautifully. So I think we are running short of time. There are a lot of questions from the audience, but then it will be answered in the in the subsequent days by you. We are running out of time, so we are having to wrap this now. So it was beautiful. I think self-regulation, appreciating ourselves, being kind to yourself as a parent is one good takeaway that I am taking away today for myself, and I'm sure a lot of parents are also taking that away. So feel good for ourselves. Yes.
And the next
Vimal?
step to regulation is self-motivation. You understand yourself, you regulate yourself, you motivate yourself. And I can tell you, having worked with parents of children with disabilities, how much they're able to do it. In each one of us, there's so much. So minute you start doing it, it becomes easier by the day. And that's what you're transferring to your child instead of your anxiety. Yes, things are bad, but we'll handle it. And you're teaching him resilience. Yeah. Thank you, Ram.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, some other takeaways from Ushaka's conversation today are also that the reassurance or the reiteration that children are individuals with their own tastes, preferences, and passions. They are not our replicas obliged to fulfill our dreams. Children are different from each other, even if they are raised in the same house by the same set of parents. They are not always going to fit into the same mold. Children are human beings too. They are going to change over time as we do. And the final takeaway, the important takeaway is that we are important. So let us take care of ourselves. With that, thank you so much, Ushaka. Thank you so much for the time. And I really, really, really cherish these moments. On to women.
Thank you, Rama. Thank you, Shaka. It was a lovely session, and I think for me, the way you ended, Shaka, was very interesting. We all love to give free advice. How about giving free advice to yourself? Thinking yourself as if you're giving advice to your neighbor and saying that to yourself. As a parent, it was very useful. I have a preteen at home, and a lot of good insights from you. So thank you so much. And once again, a happy Teachers' Day for both of you. To all the audience who've been listening to us, thank you for asking all these questions. Please continue to ask questions. Maybe some of the questions we couldn't answer during the session, one of us will reply back to you, and we'll probably convey the question back to Ushaka and get the replies back onto the same stream that you are on Facebook. If you've missed this session, you can always catch the session again in our YouTube channel, which is Beyond 8. Go to YouTube, look for Beyond 8, subscribe to the channel, and look for this video. You will also be able to rewind and see this in Facebook itself. So that's about this session. A quick summary, we spoke about how do you really understand your child? How well do you know your child? To find the best perfect fit or the best school for your child, first of all, you need to start by listening to your child, listening to the learner. And that is what we were focusing on today. We had emotional intelligence consultant, Ushaka, and Rama, who is a head of inclusion, talking about it. Next week, we will be talking about another dimension of this challenge, right? What are the red flags that you need to look for before you think you need to change your child's school, right? What are the red flags you need to look for before you decide that it's high time you change the school your child goes to? And to speak about it, we'll have a mental health practitioner, Dr. Kannan, with us. It'll be same time next week, 11 a.m. coming Saturday on Facebook Live. So please do bookmark it, and we probably put a calendar event in Facebook, so you can probably go and ask for a reminder. Like Nandini just commented, pearls of truth. That's probably the best way to summarize the session. Thank you all for being a part of Out of the Box Season 2 first edition. Please do continue supporting us. Follow us on our social media channel. We're fairly active on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. The channel is called Beyond 8. And follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well. With that, that brings an end to our session. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend ahead.